Super agent James Bond, Pierce Brosnan uses his brains and his brawn to very coolly save the world. But in the new film, Evelyn, Brosnan gets to flex a different muscle, his heart. He portrays a single father trying to save his family.
This is the Minister for Education. He's claiming we require the consent of your wife for the release of your kids.
Huh? How can we get her consent when she's disappeared? Even that pudding-faced old mother's got no address.
It's the law, Desmond. Yours is a unique case. Normally, the wife would be deceased.
She ran out on her kids, didn't she? What kind of mother would do that?
We could certainly argue that she's emotionally incapable of bringing up the children, but I'm afraid all of that is, strictly speaking, irrelevant. The law still requires her consent, no matter how irresponsibly she may have behaved.
Well, to hell with the law.
That's a great story. Pierce Brosnan, thanks for being here this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Talk about your heart. I mean, your heart, you produced this movie and starred in it. You have so much invested in this story. What was it that drew you to this story, which is based on a true story?
This is a story that came to me about 6 years ago, and from reading it the first day, I fell in love with the story because it's about a father, it's about a man who goes against the establishment. It's based on a true story which took place in Dublin, 1953. Desmond Doyle was a painter and decorator, and the missus left him on Christmas Eve. The church and the state came in and took his daughter away and the sons. And he fought to get them back. Evelyn was taken and put in a convent. The two boys were in an industrial school. And this case went to the Supreme Court. And so this man, against all odds, won, and it turned around the whole judicial system at that time in Ireland, and so many children were released from these kind of places which were not the greatest institutions.
And just the whole notion, too, back in the 50s in Ireland, that a single father would be unfit to raise his children, even though his wife had left him, which, by the way, that's a stretch of the imagination to think that someone that is married to you would actually leave. But besides that, the film is very plausible.
There you go. Don't go there. Don't go there.
But it deals with some pretty heavy social issues.
It does, yes, and it was written by a man called Paul Pender, and there was wonderful balance in it. It had a good sense of humor about itself too. So these kind of stories can be very, they can really hit the audience, you know, with a mallet on the head. But what I loved about it was the levity of the piece. And it had great heart.
It's sort of hopeful, you think?
Yeah, well, it's about love, it's about courage, it's about faith, and you know, it starts as this story in a very small fashion, then it opens up into this courtroom drama, which I love. It has a great crescendo to it, and that's what appealed to me. And it had a wonderful ensemble feeling to it as well.
It's such a great cast, first rate.
We had this great script, which we kind of had worked on for 6 years. We got Alan Bates, as you see here. We got Stephen Ray, Aidan Quinn, Juliana Margulies, and we got Bruce Beresford to direct the film. So we had a good text, we got Bruce, and in getting Bruce Beresford, then came this fine cast. So for me, it was a joy, and it was, you know, to go back to Ireland, the end of last year.
That must have been really fun for you to do all the filming in Ireland.
Very much so. I mean, this company that we have is called Irish Dreamtime, and the intentions of that is to keep going back to Ireland. We've made 3 pictures now. 2 of them have been in Ireland. One was called The Nephew, then we did the Thomas Crown Affair.
Why was that so important to you?
Go back to Ireland? That's where I come from. It's where, you know, I'm Irish, but I've lived in London, I live in America, and it's always great to go home. You find parts of yourself that you don't find in other countries. And you find a voice, and certainly being an actor and playing Irish roles, it comes with a certain ease.
And you certainly got to display a lot more emotions than you do as the cool customer of James Bond.
Bond is great, you know. I mean, Bond has been mighty in my life. It has allowed me to go off and do these films and make these pictures. But it has its own restrictions. There's a, you know, it's a definite style to that character. And it's great to bust out of it.
Right.
So,
congratulations.
thank you
on making the movie and starring in it. It's a beautiful movie and an interesting film. Pierce Brosnan will be right back. This is The Early Show on CBS.